Hey friends, my name is Mitch and today we're drawing this dog. So it's a black and white dog. However, we're going to use quite a wide variety of colors. We have off-whites, we have a pinkish white, we have a bunch of grays. So these are the Mountain Vision 450 line. What that is 450 is the dark and 451 is a little lighter. 452 is even a little lighter. So they add white as you go up in numbers. So I have 450 to 461. We're going to be using almost all of those, plus about 10 more pastels and then some pastel pencils. So I think the main thing with a black and white dog is, or any black and white animal, is you want a big wide variety of color, because you can see from the reference photo it's not just black and white. He has pinkish hues inside of his face, he's got brownish hues, he's got a pinkish tint around his nose and all this other stuff, and in the neck that's like an off-white. So you want a little bit of everything. So that's what we kind of did here. So today we're using velour paper. That's like a furry paper. It's like a low shag carpet, and what we'll be doing is doing our pastels on that. So we're coming in with soft pastels first, and then we're coming back with pastel pencils, and finally colored pencil. So the soft pastel, you notice I'm using a large one. This is Mount Vision again. So the Mount Vision pastel is really great because it's only $4 and it's huge. It'll last you months and months and months and months for $4. So it's a good deal, and that's why I like it, and that's why I use it a lot. And you'll notice when I'm applying it, I'm not just getting the pastel and smooching the whole thing over the picture. I'm making little dashes, little dots, all the direction of the hairs. So if you get the pastel and you just make one big layer of solid color, it's going to look flat and dull, and that's not what you want. That's not what you want for your people that you're making this for, your friends, relatives, whatever. You want it to look nice. So you notice I'm going in with little dots and little dashes, and see, it already looks like hair, and that's because the velour paper is soft and furry. So anything you do on it looks soft and furryish, or carpetish, or gives it a nice soft feel, and that's because the pastel dust falls in between the fibers and leaves a little of the fiber sticking out with no pastel on top of it, and therefore it obfuscates the pastel dust. If I can apply that word to pastel dust, I think I can, and it makes it look soft. So here we are with the Mount Vision. Again, this is the darkest one. I'm going in and making little dots and dashes and hairs, and then around the nose, the bottom section is dark, and we'll come around and make that even darker later with my favorite Giro pastel. If you watch any of my videos, you know I love Mount Vision, I love Great American, and I love Giro pastels. So here we come with the Mount Vision. I believe this is 455. So this is a lighter gray, and we're going in and making dots and dashes with the lighter gray. So a lot of people will get white and come in with white and mix it with a black. And again, if you only use two colors, it looks dull and lifeless. So you want to use as many colors as you can get away with, basically. So here we are with the super light, I believe this is 459 or 460, the really light one. And then now I'm coming back with a 455 and making this light gray here. And again, you could come in with white and then come in later with pencils and all that. But again, the more variety you have in a dark and light painting, the better it's going to look. So here coming in, I believe this is 455 again. And I'm making little dots. You can still make a little dot pattern for the underside of the nose. And again, that's what you want to do. You don't want to just fill that whole area in. You want to give it texture. The more texture it has, the more realistic it looks. So that's why a lot of people, when I'm done, so you can see I'm rubbing my finger over it. What that does is that shoves the pastel dust farther into the carpet shag of the paper, and that will lighten a dark color or it will soften or darken a little bit, a light color, because again, you're shoving the dust farther in, therefore your eye can't see it, and therefore it's less dust on there and more paper fiber sticking out. So more gray, less whatever color you had. So again, on the right side, you can see it's not as white and bright. On the left side is a little bit brighter, but not much. What I didn't want to do is come in with this bright white and make the whole thing really bright. That's not what you want to do, because that's not how it looks. So again, here I'm coming in with a Giro pastel. So this is a hard pastel. It's hard and thin, and it has nice sharp edges. So you can see I'm getting the sharp edges and just making hairs. And I know you're saying, why don't you do that with pencils? And we will. However, the amount of real estate I cover with this pastel, because it's listed as a soft pastel, the amount of real estate I cover is intense with that pastel versus a pencil. So if you come in with a pencil, number one, the pencil's not going to be as bright because a pencil is a harder pastel and it won't dump as much dust. But you get that Giro pastel, that dumps a ton of dust. So it gives you a nice hair texture with good coverage, if all that makes sense. I just ranted about that for like 9 hours. But you see what I'm saying? A harder, thin pastel, like let's say a Rembrandt, right? Or a Giro, something with a sharp edge that's considered a soft pastel, will cover more area than getting a pencil and doing it by hand, like that. So, back to the blacks, back to the grays, back to the whites. You just want to make sure that you're covering the area as much as you can, but you do want to leave gaps here and there. And on places that you don't want it that dark or you don't want it that light, you just rub it with your finger. So here we go back to the super dark. Super dark looks really good. And again, short, dashy strokes. Short, dashy strokes. And more short, dashy strokes. Back to the dark. So you can see a pattern here. So I'm also leaving gaps. You'll notice there's gaps in between the darks and the lights and everything like that. So you can see the paper in little gaps. And what that does is makes it look like there's extra hairs in between the hairs that we drew. So again, that gives it texture. Again, if you just cover it completely with pastel, it's not going to look as good, in my opinion. It's going to look kind of vacant. Here we come in with the darker pastels. So again, the technique is dots and dashes. Leave a little dot and dash in between. Give it nice texture, make it look realistic. So you can see the dog is already looking realistic, and I just started. I did this whole thing in like 2 hours. So if you want a very quick way of making animals, making pets, then pastel is going to be where you want to do. Here we come in with a 455. 455 again, making little dots here and there, and then rubbing them in to soften them. So it's looking great so far. I don't know what we're doing here. There's a big gap of nothing. I don't know what I just did there. I think that was me standing in front of the camera. Okay. So, we've got black, white, different shades of gray. We've got a pinkish white down there in the neck. So now we're coming in with the dark pastel, I think. No, now we have a Giro. That was that package you just saw. So we're getting the Giro gray. We're going to just try it out here. I didn't like it, so I'm back with the Mount Vision. What you can think about Mount Vision, it's $4. I have yet to use a whole stick of Mount Vision, and I have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these, and I haven't used up a stick yet. That says a lot for value, because they're only $4, right? So as you can see, if you go the direction of the hair, and you rub it in a little bit, soften it, look at that hair texture. I didn't have to spend 100 hours with a colored pencil to make this hair texture. I just spent 10 minutes, right? I'm telling you guys, pastel's the method of the future for making pets. Everybody should be doing this. So look, I'm in the direction of the hair. I'm going left and right, down, left, down, down, left, rubbing it in a little bit. And the reason you rub it in is, again, because it will shove it into the deep portion of the velour paper, which is like a low shag carpet. And once it's down in there, now you have more room to put more dust on top of that, which is what we'll do. So I'm coming in here with a 455. I don't want the all white. That's dull. I want a little variety of texture in there, see? So again, I left gaps in between the hairs, because that's what you want to do to give it that texture and give it that realistic look. So in retrospect, I think this area under the chin is a little too dark, but whatever. If I had to do it over again, and I think this is the second time I've done this dog, if I had it to do over again, and I might, then I would make that chin not that dark. So here we go with the mount vision. Mount vision, such a good deal, man. Pastels are so cheap compared to like oil paint. Some of the oil paints, like you get like a purple. I think I got a tube of purple, and it was like $60 for a small tube. I'm like, wow, no thanks. Here we're coming in with the white. So again, this is Giro. It's a hard pastel, but it's listed as soft, and it dumps a ton of dust, which is why I like it. Alright, so I just missed a part of the ear and I came back up there. So now I'm coming in here with the, what am I doing? Giro. And I'm trying to figure out how to get this blue, because there's a blue collar. I don't want to make it exactly like the picture, so I ended up ditching the Giro pastel and coming in with a pastel pencil. So here we are, I guess phase 2 here, coming with the pastel pencils. So I wanted color. I think my biggest problem here is the gray of the collar really doesn't give an opportunity to put any color in the painting here. So I sort of ditched that and came back in with a more blue. And for the little tags or whatever it is on the collar, I'm coming in with like a light yellowish brown, sort of like an olive greenish brown type thing. So now here we come with the pencils. So I'm coming in with a bright red and I'm barely pressing, and I mean like I let gravity press. I didn't actually do any pressing. So just want to get that reddish tone around the nose, and it is pink. However, I don't want to use pink, I want to use red so it pops a little more. I think one of the big problems if you use pink and it's like a bright pink, it doesn't look the same as if you use a bright red. And obviously you don't want to get the bright red and just mash it in there and make it stand out and look like he's bleeding or something. It's just to get the bright red and just barely touch it. There we go. I took a picture with my phone. What am I doing? Oh, I think I'm posting it on Facebook. Yeah, this is the end of day 1. I posted it on Facebook. If you guys want to see my stream, come on by to the Facebook. It's Mitch Ashford. Alright, here we go. Day 2. Doing the eyes with a light brown. And I've started, guys, I've really started to go with only Carbothello pencils at this point, because they're so cheap. And I bought a set, and it was just dirt cheap. I mean, you're talking like 80 cents a pencil. So I did that for the main highlight here. And then I came in with my Pit Pastel. I do like a couple of colors in Pit Pastel, and that's $1.99, which is black, and $1.75, which is dark brown. And the dark brown looks black. But what's cool about it is, in the $1.75, it gives your black a little more texture. So it's all about the little variances. I know that doesn't make any sense until you actually see it in person, but when you use varying types of grays, when you use varying types of blacks, you'll suddenly start to see a difference in your paintings than compared to just using one. In other words, I'm just going to use black, and that's all I'm going to use. If you get out of that and you start using all sorts of different grays and blacks and dark browns and dark greens and all sorts of other stuff, all of a sudden your paintings just come to life. So a lot of people say that the painting, or my drawings / paintings, look so realistic even after the first phase when I haven't done any details. Again, it's because I used 10, 15 colors, man. And if you do that, yours will look the same when it brings it to life. So here, this is Pit Pastel 199. That's a black. I'm just coming in and making hairs. I'm not covering hairs everywhere. I'm just putting them here and there. All right, so now I'm trying a white Sharpie for the highlight in the eye. Normally that works, but my Sharpie ran out of juice. I used it too much. So you can see I got a little highlight there, but it's sort of a disappointing highlight. I don't really like it. So I came in with a darker brown. Here we go. Now we're coming in with a colored pencil. Colored pencil will fix that. So it dumps wax right there. So all you're doing is just getting the highlight of the eye. Now coming in with a colored pencil, and now back to the Pit Pastel. See, his eye looks great, and it looks great because I didn't color in the whole pupil with black. I think I see people do that. They'll be like, pupil, and they'll come in with black pencil, and they'll cover the whole thing. But if you look at the painting, or if you look at the reference photo, it doesn't look like that. Reference photo has blacks, then it has grays in it, and then it has a highlight of white, and then more grays, and then different colors, and veins coming out, and I mean, you need to look at your reference photo and duplicate that. So here we go. I left a spot in the pupil open so I could put that highlight, and now I'm coming in, making the top darker. With any eye, the top area is darker because obviously there's a shadow from the lid. And you'll notice on the right eye there, you'll notice that the left part of that where it goes down is a gap where the eye section meets the eyeball. And instead of coloring that in, I just left it blank because my paper is already gray. So, and that's gray, so why would I color it in? I wouldn't. Save yourself some time. If something is the color of your paper and you can get away with not doing anything at all and it looks okay, do that. Don't spend a lot of time on that. So here we go, colored pencil. I'm just making little dashes on the nose where we have the highlight. And again, you can make a lot of mistakes just in that little nose and make it look terrible. And the biggest mistake would be getting white and making a straight line, filling the whole thing in. It doesn't look realistic, right? Here, coming in with the 199 again, making little details here. I jacked the contrast so it doesn't look as good as if you see it in person. So here I'm coming in with a colored pencil. You guys know my favorite colored pencil is the Stabilo All Marking Pencil. You can get them off Blick for about $1. They're wonderful because they dump a ton of wax, man. If you're gonna do pencils, you want you to dump a ton of something. Ton of paint, ton of wax, ton of pastel. So now I'm making little hair edges around the outside of the ears and all that stuff. So already look, face looks wonderful. Looks wonderful because of the eyes. I didn't color in the whole pupil black. I left spots for the highlight. I left spots for the gray areas. It looks realistic. He looks like he's watching you. So now I'm coming in with hair detail. And again, you don't want to go over every square inch of the dog with these hairs you want to get it in the transition areas. Transition areas, white to black, black to white. You want to get it here and there to make your viewer's brain fill in with, hey, there's lots and lots of hairs, but in reality there's not. There was you with your big old Mount Vision pastel coming in, making a few hairs here and there. That's what I'm doing, here and there. Don't cover your whole painting in hairs. If you're going to do that, then you just wasted your time with your undercoats, right? I think that's my biggest fear, is to have some project where I have to cover this big 12 by 16 dog with millions and millions of little hairs, and it's going to take me the rest of my natural life. And I don't do that. In fact, this only took 2 hours. So, here I come in with the Giro white pastel. And again, I just want to give the white areas white. It's one of the things I love about Giro. It dumps a metric ton of dust. Even though it's a hard pastel, it dumps the dust. Look at that, look at that white area. It's like glows in the dark, it's so white. Love Giro pastel. If I ever win the lottery, I'm buying like 50 sets of Giro pastels. So look at that white area. It like glows in the dark. Giro's just dumping the dust. Such a great pastel, man. They're expensive. They're like $5 and they're small. But for purposes like this is what you want. Look at that. Getting that Giro, and I'm coming in and making more little hairs. So now look at that. That looks real. It looks like you can reach out and pet the dog, right? Like between the velour softness and the Giro pastel making the hairs, looks photorealistic on the hairs in the bottom section there. Really like Giro. So here we come in with Giro black. And again, Giro dumps the dust, man. If you want a black area super black, get your Giros. So this is 513 Giro. And 513 is labeled as a darker green, but it's actually insanely dark black. And I think on some of the pastel sites, they say that that's one of their best sellers, and I can see why. I think I have like 7 of those. I love my 513s. And I'm not sure why dark green is so dark, but again, if you can get away with using black, with using dark green, with using different colors, your painting's going to come alive. It's the difference between, you'll see these beginner painters, and then you'll see these people that have been doing it for years, as far as animals are concerned. They use a lot of different colors. So here I'm coming in again, stay below, all marking pencil. It doesn't have many colors. It's only like 7 colors total. But it dumps the wax. And I do wax-based colored pencil on top of pastels because the wax will reflect the light and give it a sheen and give it this really pronounced color that you won't get anywhere else. So here I come, making a little hair. Again, the transition areas is where you want to focus on these little details. You don't want to do little hairs like this throughout the entire painting. Your hand will go numb from pain, right? You want it in the transition areas right here. Transition area right there. Get some realistic hairs right there. Just looks fantastic. Look at that. That looks so fun. And that mixes in with both the Giro pastel and also mixes in with the Mount Vision pastel. So I ran out of a sharp edge on one and I got another one. I have, I think, 15 of these Stabilo pencils. The white pencil, because that's like I use it all the time. So here I'm coming in with a black Stabilo pencil. And you can see I made a couple of hairs. Again, I didn't go and fill the whole area in with pencil, just made a couple of hairs. Here we go again with the transition areas. And you don't want to fill up the whole painting with a colored pencil because it'll look waxy and fake, but you do want to get some little highlights here and there with this pencil. I'm going to give it a new life, make it look fantabulous. So again, the transition areas between the white area and the gray area. I went and got a new pencil. Transition areas, more transition areas. I think after this, we're pretty much done. So if you guys have any questions, or you want to see this live in the full version, which again was like 2 hours, come to my Facebook, Mitch Ashford, and follow me. And all my streams are public, and I interact with you guys. I have fun and goof off, crack jokes. I give more instruction like this, except in greater detail. So, I'm not sure what I'm doing now. Oh, coming in with the blue. So let's get some detail on this. Speaking of detail, get some detail on the collar. You don't really want to have a non-detailed collar with a highly detailed dog, right? I say highly detailed. I see other people that do this for a living that really make super detailed, and I don't, because I'm lazy. So we have different colors of blue. Just getting that blue in there, getting the highlights, getting the mid-tones. Here comes the highlights. And again, I just wanted some color. You don't want the collar to be bright red or glow-in-the-dark blue, right? Otherwise it'll look stupid. But you do want a little bit of color in there. That's what I wanted. A little bit of color. And put your shadow underneath and your highlights on top. Gives it a nice little color. Again, you don't want bright red, bright yellow, bright green, anything that's going to take your eye away from the dog's eyes. But you do want something with a little splash of color, and that's what I got here. So now we're going to start with the background. I forgot to put the background in here. And the background is just a hazy, like light pink background color. And that's all I wanted. It looks like the back of an oil painting. You'll see these portraits for oil painters, and they'll have like this hazy, flowing background, which is what I sort of did here. I wanted something. I don't want just the paper. I think at this point I always put a background. I used to not put a background at all, but I put a simple background if I can get away with a simple background. So you can see just a hazy background here. Anyway, that's pretty much the end of this painting / drawing. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you next time.